everyone around me said, Brandon, you're negative. Brandon, you're this. But I was like, yeah, you're wrong. You're the problem.
Right.
And then I made those changes and I look back and I'm like, oh my God, like I can't believe that I was that person. But without being that person, without having your past, you're not able to see how far you've come.
All aboard! It's time for Choo with Chase Schurga.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another ride on the Choo podcast. I'm your conductor, Chase Schurga. Everybody wants a ride, and today I am joined by one very special guest. To my right, your left if you're watching on YouTube, we have Brandon Eastman. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thanks for the ride, Chase.
Hey, thanks for coming, dude.
I love the new set, man. It looks amazing.
I appreciate that.
Congratulations.
Appreciate that. And just so you know, this is a one-way ticket. There's no refunds after the ride, all right?
That's fine. I'll take the memories forever.
So, just so you guys know, if you're new here, since we just did the whole rebrand, we used to be Garage Boozing, now it's the Choo podcast. Brandon was on many times on the Garage Boozing podcast, but new show, new start. So this is his first time on the Choo podcast, and yeah, let's just get right down to it. So, Brandon, you are the man behind Be Better Industries and the Be Better broadcast. Can you tell me, for people that don't know who you are, what is Be Better Industries?
Be Better Industries is centered around the philosophy that it's not about going from where you are now to where you want to be overnight. It's about 1% improvements every single day. If you can focus on being better 1% every single day, then you'll get to where you want to be. It just takes time and it takes patience.
Great answer. That was like short, easy, and to the point. That was great. So, Be Better Industries, the Be Better broadcast, pretty much same thing, right? Same umbrella.
Yeah.
Where did the name come from?
Be Better came from, well, you know, we all have friends who, whenever you do something and you didn't do it at your fullest potential, what do your friends say?
Be better.
Be better, right? And they say it in this derogatory way.
Sarcasm.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I heard that and I was like, I like that phrase, be better, because we can all be better, right? You're never at that point where you're where you are meant to be. I believe that there's always room for improvement. I'm the type of person where I don't know if I'll ever necessarily be happy where I am. I feel like we're the happiest that we could be when we're making progress. I feel like when you're being better, when you have an effort and a plan to be better, that's when you're happy, right? If you think about the days where you didn't accomplish anything, if you think about the days where you're just not feeling great, it's usually the days that you didn't do anything, right? You didn't make even 1 inch towards where it is you wanted to be. And if you just focus on doing one thing every day, it can eliminate that feeling. I feel like that's why there's an epidemic of loneliness and an epidemic of people who aren't happy, and more now than ever.
I think people are more depressed now than ever before.
100%.
I mean, there's more people in the world, yes, but the ratio, if you know what I mean, for sure.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
These things aren't taught in school, man. We're not taught how to be happy. We're taught how to do math. We're taught some history, but we're not taught how to actually be a contributing member of society who helps others and how to live a good life. We're not taught those things. You have to seek them on your own.
Boom. Mind blown. So Be Better Industries. Love the name behind it. I love how you got it. See, I always thought it was because people called you B, because his name's Brandon.
You could think that, yeah.
So it never had anything to do with
Nothing to do with that.
Not even a little bit.
Not, actually, I never even thought about it until you just said
Are you
that.
serious?
I swear to God.
Wow, that's so funny. And I don't think, like, obviously when I was doing the Garage Boozing podcast, I was heavily drinking, like, every episode. I don't think I even ever asked you that question, where the name came from.
Maybe not.
I don't think I did.
Yeah, I feel like people put their own meaning on it, though. I feel like people see it. Like, I was at Dunkin' the other morning, and a woman said as I was walking back out to my car, she's like, I love your license plate. And I was like, thanks. I said, you got to be better every day. But who knows what she took that as? Who knows what be better meant to her? So everyone has their own meaning for what it means. And take your meaning and go for it and use it.
Yeah, maybe she had a cold and you just wanted her to be better.
I'll be better now. Thank you.
I'll take some NyQuil.
Trips on the ice. Oh.
You know what's funny? So Brandon has like the same impression voice for like any lady that ever talked. Like Brenda, for example.
Yeah.
Nice picture. Same exact thing. He always does the same voice. That's hilarious. But all right, yeah, that's a great answer. So what did you start first? Did you start Be Better Industries or did you start the Be Better broadcast? Like which one came first, the chicken or the egg?
No, good question. So I started Be Better Industries in 2019, and that's when I actually got the LLC. I got the business name. I was like, I'm going to go all in on this thing. I've been in sales forever, right? I started with cellular sales when I was 18, and when I was 21, 3 years later, I was exactly what I described earlier. I was a person who was unhappy. I was overweight. I wasn't doing anything to move in any specific forward direction. And I discovered personal development. I found people who said, hey, man, if you want to be happy, do this. If you want to lose weight, do this. And then I started reading books. I started watching YouTube videos. I learned about people like Tony Robbins.
Yeah, you always mention him. Yep.
Yep. And I was like, I want to do what these people are doing. Like, these people are helping so many people. Like, I've paid Tony Robbins a couple times. I bought a couple of his books, and Bree bought us tickets to an event. But I've never met this man, never did anything for this man, but this man has provided massive value to help me improve. So I was like, I want to do the same thing. So I started making YouTube videos. I started making videos on Facebook with like a whiteboard in my living room at the Skimmerhorn Apartments that I used to live at. But I was like, I want to do this too. And I had the philosophy that if you want to do something, you just got to start now, right? So I started, got the business name, but I didn't start the podcast until 2021. Now we're up to almost 370 episodes. And we've had the podcast, obviously, now for over 3 years, and it's grown in a really great way. But I didn't start with the show. I started the show because a friend of mine, Rob Grahowski, you know Rob, he was like, hey, man, I love your videos, but I don't ever have the time to just watch the video. I wish you did a podcast. I wish you talked and brought on other people, other experts in the areas of wealth creation and goal setting and all these things. And I was like, that's a really good idea. So I started reaching out to people, brought people on the show, and then you know how it goes. People just start referring you to other people, and you meet really cool people doing that. And I've spoken to people who everyone knows their name, at least people who are focused on personal development. And it's grown into a really cool thing over the years. It's been a lot of fun. And then I wrote my book. I did all those things.
Yeah, I have a copy of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's very
cool. You have
cool.
a signed copy.
That's true. I love that.
With a personal message.
Now, is the book still out there for people to buy?
Oh, yeah. You can grab a copy of the book. So the book is Be Extraordinary, Your Guide to Self-Mastery. It's about the 5 key areas of life, and every chapter has a challenge at the end. So there's a financial chapter, emotional chapter, relationships, whatever area of your life you want to work on, flip to that chapter, go to the end of it, take the challenge. You'll improve within 7 days. Within 1 day, you'll feel better, and then within 7 days, you'll see actual results. But you can go to BeBetterIndustries.com/book, and you can download a free copy.
Link below.
Yeah, and when you go to BeBetterIndustries.com/book, you can actually get a free version of the audiobook if you don't want to read anything. I know a lot of people don't like to read, so you can literally, I had it professionally narrated. I'll narrate the next one probably, but you can get the audiobook and the digital book for free. I'm not going to charge you anything. Put your email, and I'll send it right to you immediately.
So is there still a paper copy available?
Yeah. If you are a reader and you want the paper copy, go on Amazon. Just type in Brandon Eastman or Be Extraordinary, and you'll see it pop up. I think you left a review on it.
I did.
Yeah,
I absolutely did.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You got it, buddy. Link for both of those below. That's awesome. Still mind blown that Be Better Industries had nothing to do, or Be Better, and the whole thing had nothing to do with B. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Because we always call him B because his name is Brandon. Do people still call you B?
People at work.
Yeah, it was like a work thing, right?
Yeah.
Like your mom's not like, hey, B.
No, they don't call me B.
That's so funny. Your mom was very happy when I saw the other two.
She loves you.
I love that.
Except for that one time.
I
But
know.
we all have that one experience with my mom.
Yeah, that one time was Brandon got married in Mexico, and I got super drunk and picked up his nephew on the beach and decided to run with him.
Yeah.
And I dropped him flat on his face, and he cried so hard. He doesn't remember it, which is, of course, he was it was years ago.
His subconscious remembers.
Yeah, he's scarred for life.
Whenever he sees sand, he's like, oh, I don't know why I'm afraid.
He is who he is today because I dropped him face first on that sand on the beach.
Yeah.
And back to where we were going, Brandon's mom was not happy with me. And we just brought that up to her the other day. But yeah, funny story. But anyway, so yeah, Be Better Broadcast. So first was Be Better Industries, and then came the Be Better Broadcast. I've asked you this before, but for people that don't know, why is it the Be Better Broadcast when it's a podcast?
I'm a fan of alliteration. So BBB versus BBP. And I'm sure those mean many other things too. I don't want to go down that line. But I liked the sound of broadcast, but it's not the name that matters as much to me, especially because people mistype it all the time anyway. Even guests who come on the show will share it, which is amazing. Thank you for sharing it. But they'll write Be Better Podcast.
Sure.
So it's like, maybe I should have named it that. But there is another podcast called the Be Better Podcast. I think it has like 10 episodes and it hasn't aired for years. But number one, it was taken. Number two, I just wanted something that would roll off the tongue nicely.
Yeah, I mean, BBB, like Better Business Bureau.
Because it's more than a podcast to me. I think, podcasts are amazing. And my vision for Be Better Industries is to have the podcast, but the broadcast is the overarching umbrella of what's going to be there. So there's going to be live events. There's going to be news stations. It's going to be an overall media company in the next 10 years. That's a big goal of mine. There's a lot of bad news in the world. You turn on Fox, turn on CNN, whatever leaning you are, left or right, doesn't matter. There's a lot of bad news. You hear about the deaths and the burnings and the bad things happening, but where's the news station for things that are good that are happening?
Wow.
So I want to have something like that. And overall, I don't know what it's going to look like yet, but the plan is for it to become a media company, where it's just more people than just me interviewing people. It's a whole mission, a whole movement.
Like building a team and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. That'd be sweet. Like if like the Be Better broadcast or Be Better Industries was just, I turn on the TV and there you are.
Exactly. Like a channel in itself.
Yeah. Instead of like, oh, a cat was stuck in a tree on the news. You've got you like, this great thing happened today,
Yeah. Or, talking about what happened, whether it's good or bad, and then talking about this is how we can work together to actually make a difference. There's a lot of this happened, now next story, and they're all reading teleprompters. They're paid to say whatever you got on the screen. But what can we do in order to make the country better? What can we do in order to make ourselves better? I feel like if everyone worked on making themselves better, the country would get better as a result.
Right.
But we're focused on a lot of things right now that we can't control. But what we can control is what we do, the actions that we take.
And you know what's cool, Brandon? And like, I know I've told you this before, either on camera, off camera, or whatever. But again, rebrand, new show. So me and Brandon, we graduated high school together, but we were never friends in high school. Like we never barely talked, never hung out, like just different crowd, stuff like that. And we became friends because I was walking past a job that he worked at, saw him wearing a nice suit, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. What's he doing? So I sent him a message on Facebook. Long story short, he ended up like saying, hey, come on in, I'll show you the ropes, got me the job. And at that time when me and Brandon first became friends, Brandon was not the Brandon that's sitting right next to me today, whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I'm not being like a jerk whatsoever, but you were in a very like negative mindset.
Yep.
You definitely weighed a little bit more, quite a little
That's
bit
putting
more.
it nicely.
I didn't want to be an asshole, but yeah. So what happened that made you flip that switch? Like, is there something in your brain that can say like, this is literally what made me go from A to B to where I am today?
Yeah, I think this goes along with the whole idea of New Year's resolutions. A lot of people, including myself back in the day, I used to say, I want to do this, right? I want to lose weight. I want to look better. But it's not just about the resolution. It's about creating a plan, right? And I never knew about personal development. When I talk about personal development, that's like this overarching big phrase. Personal development simply means you have a plan to work every single day to improve yourself and make yourself better. Whether that's with your physical body, whether it's with finances, your relationships, your spirituality, whatever it is to you, you'd be able to go to bed at night, close your eyes, and as you're drifting asleep, you'd be able to think and feel good that you did something that day. So I had no concept of improving yourself. We were never taught how to improve ourselves. We were never taught how to interview, get a great job, build a career, take care of your body. We went to gym class, but never once were we taught those things.
Or people skills, like stuff like that. Yeah.
Communication.
Yeah.
Sales.
Totally.
And we should be taught that. That should be a required class that you need to get an A in order to move past. So once I found people in my life who pointed me in the right direction, and I won't go into the story because we've talked about this before, but I discovered books. And it sounds really cliche to say, oh, I started reading books and my life turned around. I started reading new ideas and different ways of thinking that I never thought about before. Like when I read The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, that's one of the first books I read. The actual first personal development book I read was How to Win Friends and Influence People.
I love that book.
By Dale Carnegie.
Yeah.
I should read it again. I've only read it once, but it stuck with me for years. Like the best way to win an argument is not to argue. Pay more attention to other people than you expect them to pay to you, right? If you're interested, then you will be interesting, right? It's a book on communication, but also sales, and that's the world we come from and the world that we're in right now. I think everyone's in sales. So I started reading these books, and I was like, you know what? These philosophies of think and grow rich and thoughts become things and all these things, they're great, but they seem kind of corny, right? But then I realized I've got no other option. If I don't try something different, I'm going to continue getting the same result that I've always gotten. So that's when I decided to take action, and I couldn't have done it without people in my life, right? If you're surrounded with the wrong people, if you're there's a couple things that hold us back. One, the people you're surrounding yourself with.
Of course.
That's number one. If you're around a bunch of people doing drugs, a bunch of people who are going out every single weekend, you're going to go out with them, right? Because you're going to have FOMO, you missed out, whatever it is. And two is distractions. Big one. And there's a lot we could talk about
Dopamine, bro.
Scrolling on Facebook, scrolling notifications turned on your phone. Like everyone I talk to, I'm like, turn all notifications off. You're not going to miss anything. Just go to your text, see who texted you. Like all these different distractions. Drugs, big distraction. Even weed, right? A lot of people wake up, they smoke weed. Immediately your clarity is dropped for the day.
Totally.
You know, and at the end of the day, if you earned it, then smoke, right? Do your thing. But don't distract yourself. Don't hold yourself back. Don't take yourself from here at the beginning of the day immediately to here. Wait it out and see what changes happen in your life.
That was a phenomenal answer. And real quick, so to the weed thing, like, don't get me wrong. We all know that I love weed. But
I also love weed, 100%.
Totally. I mean, it's a very natural, great plant. But, like, my dad will joke around with me and be like, pothead and stuff like that. I'm really not. Like, I'm not waking up in the morning, getting high, going to work, stuff like that. I could never do that because exactly what you said, dude, the second you smoke weed, like, unless you're, like, wired, like, super crazy different, your motivation definitely goes down.
Yeah.
Your productivity definitely goes down. Like, I smoke probably once or twice a day, and it's after work.
Yes.
When I get home,
Yep.
and I've got nothing to do, nothing on my list, no
Yep.
tasks to be done, and just want to chill.
Yep.
Because if I do smoke before any of those type of tasks, dude, instantly I'm getting distracted. I'm looking at my phone. I'm scrolling. I don't feel like getting up. I'm just like, oh, we'll do it later.
Yeah.
Procrastinating. But the second thing I was going to say, so to the dopamine thing, and like distractions on your phone and stuff like that. You have an iPhone, right?
I have a Samsung.
You don't. I thought you had an iPhone for a
I've
while.
had an iPhone. I love iPhone, but I use a Samsung right now.
Does it tell you your screen time?
Yeah.
What's your screen time for last week?
You want me to look it up right now?
Yep, I'll tell you mine. Mine's probably bad
Sure.
compared to yours.
Ours are probably both very high because we work from our phones.
That's
so
true.
That's something to consider.
My last week's average, I could tell you.
Yeah, tell me your daily average
Oh my.
from this past week.
So this going week from Sunday to Thursday,
Yeah.
8 hours and 9 minutes.
Is that daily average?
yeah.
Mine's 3 hours and 57 minutes.
Oh shit!
Yeah. And I feel like I'm on my phone a lot.
Wow, I'm really on my phone a lot.
3 hours, I mean, dude. That's
wait, if I hit the
4
day thing-
hours.
Today was 6 hours and 37 minutes. Yesterday was 7 hours and 53 minutes. But like you
Yeah.
said, so like I spend a lot of time on my phone, like editing clips for the podcast and posting and stuff like that.
I'll listen to podcasts in my car and the screen stays on, so I'm
Right.
sure that attributes towards that.
For sure. Ooh.
But it's the point, dude. Listen, how recent are cell phones? Like
Yeah.
they literally in the way that we know them now. 2000. Like when did you get your first phone? How old were you?
12, 13. And it was a
I was
little candy.
15.
I had a candy bar phone that I could play Snake on. My
That's
first
cool.
like real phone, I'm probably like, 13, 14, could download ringtone, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I was 15. I worked at the Great Escape, and I needed to call my parents after work, so I got mine then. But the point I'm making is, so that was 15 years ago. Right? I'm 30 now. Think about what life looked like before cell phones. So that's 4. Let's say it was 4 hours, right? Because that's what mine is, and a lot of people listening is probably 4. It's probably in between there, right? That's 4 hours of our day. What
Yeah.
were we doing before cell phones, right? What could you do with 4 hours?
Have you ever seen those like those things that get shared on Facebook every once in a while of like people like on their phones and then it has like a picture where the phone's like edited out and people are just like sitting like this.
So
and just, like-
sad.
dude, it really is.
Yeah.
Totally. And like to kind of play off what you were saying, not to get sidetracked here, but I think it's very interesting. So yeah, cell phones have not been around for a long time, right? So we don't even know what the effects of cell phones are doing to our bodies and stuff like that, especially like 5G and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Because like, correct me if I'm wrong, because I've been out of the game for a little bit, but 4G was like kind of like bouncing off the walls and stuff, like, right? And then 5.
I don't know.
I
still don't know.
I read it somewhere where like
Yeah.
4G was like bouncing off the walls,
They
but
say
5G just
5G
goes straight through.
penetrates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
It gets you. You're like, oh, it's here.
No, but it's really scary because like, dude, like I'm guilty of this too. Like I sleep with my phone charged directly next to me, laying in my bed. Sometimes I'll fall asleep scrolling on my phone
Under
late
the
at night,
pillow.
under the pillow, or it'll fall on my chest. Like, what is that radiation doing to my body?
Yeah.
We don't know, man.
Yeah.
Scary.
I think the biggest thing is the amount of attention that we're losing because of them.
Yeah.
Like the physical effects, sure, but we can get hit by a bus tomorrow, right? Not to be that guy, but the attention that we're giving to that versus our children. our friends, our family.
Oh, absolutely.
Like use your dad. Let's use your grandparents as an example. Like, are you on your phone a lot when you're with your grandparents, or are you
Oh,
conscious
that's
more when you're
so
with
bad.
them? Do they say anything to you like, Chase, you should get off your phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my dad, same thing. Like, we'll be at my grandparents. But the thing is like, I'm not like, my grandparents have very bad cell phone service at their house too. So like, no, it's for real. So like, if I'm on my phone, it's not like I can like scroll through Instagram, like be watching reels and stuff like that.
Sure.
Usually I'll just be answering a text message or stuff like that. But here I am trying to sugarcoat it, make myself sound better. Yeah, I'm on my phone in front of my grandparents because I'll just get sidetracked and look at my phone. But back to what I was saying. I can multitask. So like, I can hold the conversation with my grandparents while I'm looking at my phone. It's not like I'm just like, yeah, whatever. What'd you say? Because when I'm with them, my main priority is them. But I will look down and be like, look at this, check my email real quick, turn my head up. But my grandpa never says it. He couldn't give a shit. But my grandma will be like, who you texting? What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You and your father always on that thing all
Yeah.
the time. And you know what's it's terrible? I feel so bad about that every time I leave. And I'm like, you know what? Next time, I'm just not going to touch my phone. And then I do.
Well, I think the big thing about you too is you do make the effort to see your grandparents more
Sure.
than I guarantee 99% of people listening make. So that alone right there, the effort is huge. But again, it's just something that has become a habit where we'll grab our phone, we'll scroll without even realizing it.
I don't even think about it, dude.
Yeah.
And then my grandma will say that. I'm like, oh, shit.
Yep.
And like now they're at the age where like, dude, my grandparents are my absolute best friends in the entire world. And I mean, the clock's ticking, bro.
Yeah.
Like they're in their mid 90s right now. Like
That's unbelievable.
Oh, it is. It's unbelievable. But like, I definitely got like, dude, I got to pay way more attention. Like, it's something I need to absolutely work on. I can't just like talk about it. I got to be about it, you know?
Yeah.
And when I go back and edit this too, this is probably going to really inspire me. So I'm glad we're having this conversation.
Awesome, man.
I should really just like put my phone down and just all eyes on them. But like our generation, you sit there and hold a conversation, then you get bored and you're like, dopamine,
Yeah,
phone.
Yeah. Exactly. Because you're not having interesting enough conversations. That's why I love podcasts, man, because we're not going to check our phone. Well, you're looking at notes, obviously,
that's
so
it.
you have to. But I love the podcast because I don't look at my phone once during a podcast. But right after, what do? We immediately go to it. What did we miss?
Isn't that funny? Because like if the camera wasn't on and these mics weren't here and we're just sitting here talking, both of us would be like looking at our
Yeah,
phone.
we would
talking.
check it out.
Isn't that
100%.
wild? Yeah. Whoa. Crazy.
Yeah.
But wow. What were we talking about right before that?
So we were talking about how I got started on this journey.
Yes.
And really, it's what we said. I discovered that you can, in fact, improve yourself, that life isn't all up to circumstance, right? You can't control how you got here. You can't control the upbringing that you had. But at the point where you can make decisions for yourself, realistically, 17, 18, 19, 20, that's the time when you can say, what do I want my life to look like? But not just what do I want life to look like. That's amazing. But what's the plan I'm going to put on paper, in a journal, in a notebook, in order to create this life? Because once I started reading these books, by 22, 6 months after I started this journey, I lost 60 pounds. I started to get promoted. I started to become a leader in the company. I started to deliver trainings and public speakings, and then
got rid of a lot of debt.
you got over $20,000 in debt. And then 2019 came and I was like, I want to help other people make these same changes. And that's where Be Better Industries came from. So would I think that my life would look like this 10 years ago? Absolutely not.
I wouldn't have guessed that. That was not on my bingo card.
Yeah, and look at what you've done. I mean,
Sure.
You started Garage Boozing with over 100 episodes, and then you've rebranded, and look at this set, look at everything that you've done. Like, you didn't have to do any of this, but you did because you have a greater vision and plan for what you want your life to look like, and you took action.
Take action.
And that's the biggest thing. Just do something, right? Even if you don't know what to do something, and it'll bring you to a different place than you are right now. But you have to act. If you don't act, nothing's going to happen. No one's going to come save you.
A goal without a plan is just simply a wish. Did I say it right? Was that the quote?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it sounded great.
Thank you.
It's true.
So now, like, was it easy for you to make that change? And real quick before you answer that, did you realize that you were as negative as you were?
Not until I made the changes.
Really? Okay.
Not until I made the changes. Because everyone around me said, Brandon, you're negative. Brandon, you're this. But I was like, yeah, you're wrong. You're the problem.
Right.
And then I made those changes and I look back and I'm like, oh my God, like I can't believe that I was that person. But without being that person, without having your past, you're not able to see how far you've come. And you ask, was it easy? Yes and no. I'd say no, it wasn't, because any growth is difficult, right?
Sure.
There's always challenges that come along with it. But if you have the right support system, like I've been with Bree since I was 17. So Bree was here throughout this entire journey, and she helped me, right? She kept me accountable, kept me on track. So find people who can hold you accountable. But once you start to see progress, like just like Carnivore that I started recently, once you start to see progress, you're like, wow, this might not be easy, but look at the results I'm getting. Like I got to keep doing this now because I started and it's working well and I feel great about myself. So once you start, it becomes harder to stop. You start to feel shame and you start to feel guilt. You just got to keep moving.
Love that. That's incredible. So, what was I going to say here? Oh yeah, so you just mentioned the carnivore diet. So we'll spin right into that. Okay?
Sure.
Because I knew you wanted to talk about this.
Yeah.
So, actually, I'll just let you start. What exactly is the carnivore diet, and how long have you been following this diet, and why? 3 questions in one.
Sure.
Hit them all.
Now I'll hit them all. So the carnivore diet is when you eat things that come only from an animal, right? So the easiest way to think about it is it's a ketogenic diet. So you've been keto yourself.
I lost 40 pounds on keto. Yeah.
Are you still keto?
No.
Because you look great.
I appreciate that, but my dad bod is starting to come back. So I'm going on vacation Saturday, and when I get back, I'm thinking it's been actually 4 years now since I was on keto.
Cool.
And
I remember.
Yeah, I gotta rip it back.
Yeah. So it's a ketogenic diet, but it's a very, very restrictive keto diet. And a lot of people who go on carnivore. So I'll answer what it is first. So it's eating things such as beef, butter, bacon, eggs, fish, seafood, chicken, any kind of meat, eggs, anything like that, anything that comes from an animal, right? Including dairy. I personally don't include dairy. Just I feel like I'm lactose intolerant, and when I eat dairy, it doesn't agree with me. But it's eliminating. Think about it like this: it's eliminating carbs and it's eliminating sugar completely.
Yeah, so kind of like keto. Okay.
Very similar, except with keto you can have things like the vegetables and
Like
stuff
lettuce and I was a big salad guy.
Yep. So but you were conscious about how many carbs you were eating at the same time. Because how many carbs would you allow yourself in a day with keto?
Oof, less than 20.
It was less than 20?
Less than 20,
Okay.
and the sugar was like minimum.
Very
like,
minimum.
Like I would try to have no sugar, but sometimes I'd have like sugar-free ketchup where like
Sugar's
like
a killer.
Yeah.
Sugar
Oh, it
is literally killing us. We eat more sugar now than we've ever eaten in the history of human existence. And the carnivore diet is what humans have been on for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And a lot of people say, oh, well, humans ate berries, humans ate plants. Yeah, they ate those things out of necessity because
and
if they
lived till
didn't, they would die.
35 years old.
Exactly. Or they didn't have meat to eat. If you had meat to eat, then the greatest people in the tribe ate the meat first, and anything else was the berries and the leaves. So carnivore is what we've meant to be eating. A lot of doctors out there call it the proper human diet. It's what we've been eating for years. So I've been on this carnivore diet now for 2 months as of 2 days from now. So it's a month and 28 days, but when this comes out, it'll be 2 months. I started December 24th. And I started because I had a friend, Dustin. You know Dustin?
Yep.
Dustin Neal. He started carnivore several years ago. He did it for like a month or two. And he lost a ton of weight. But it wasn't just the weight loss because I wasn't a fat guy, right? I've lost over 25 pounds, but I wasn't a fat guy before carnivore. I was still
You've lost 25 pounds in the past 2 months?
25 pounds.
Holy shit.
Yep, 25
Good
pounds.
for you, bro.
I went down a pant size. All my clothes fit me better. I just bought new suits. So yes, you're going to see physical differences, but the biggest difference you're going to see is the mental clarity. And I think this is really weird to explain, but the way that you experience hunger is very different. I used to get hungry every hour. I'd want to snack on something. I'd want like a mocha schmocha latte. I'd want a bag of chips. Like chips were my bane. Like chips were terrible.
Now, do you think it had like something to do with like maybe you were bored? Because like I'm
Yes.
a guy where I get bored and I want to eat.
100%.
Okay.
But your body, because it's been eating carbs and sugar, carbs send a false hunger signal to your brain saying, Chase, you're hungry. Go grab a bag of chips. You're not actually hungry, right? On carnivore, I only get hungry when I'm actually hungry, and it's a different
Really?
form of hunger. Like, you ever been so hungry that you're like, I need to eat. I'm feeling like really weak. I'm feeling slow. I need to eat.
Yep.
You're waiting for the waitress to come over and you're miserable, right? This is very different. This is, you really want to eat, but it's almost like in your mind, you're like, yeah, I could eat, but it's not an emergency. Right? A lot of people on carnivore eat one time a day, and there's a lot of people in the carnivore community. There's millions of people.
One
by the
time
way.
a day?
They call it OMAD, 1 meal a day. And there's a lot of people who eat 1 meal every 2 days. I eat a couple meals a day. I like a nice lunch, so I do intermittent fasting until noon, and then I eat a nice dinner, which is usually a steak. I've literally been eating steak for the last few months, and it's amazing. And a lot of people listening are going to be like, well, the cholesterol, red meat, all of it's terrible for you. plants kill us. Plants literally are designed to kill the creature that is eating it. When you eat a plant, plants are alive. They have defense mechanisms they want to stop you from eating them. Meat has always been eaten by humans for millions and millions of years.
I didn't know that. Holy shit.
Yeah, it's oxalates. So if you look up oxalates in plants, the first few months that you're on carnivore, even keto, your body is oxalate dumping. You're literally dumping out all these toxins that you've been eating from plants for all these years and years and years. This is why a lot of vegans don't feel the best. A lot of vegetarians don't feel the best. There's a lot who do, right? But I'm sure there's a lot of carnivores who still don't feel good. But I didn't do this because this was the best quote unquote diet. I did this because I'm always looking for the upper edge. I'm always looking for that thing that will help me feel better. And it's convenient. It's convenient to eat 2 meals a day, for me, sometimes one, and cook a steak, or like I'll bring salmon home and eat that, or I'll make some bacon, or I'll make some eggs. It's so easy to do, and I feel amazing. I think that's the biggest thing about carnivore. I've been on it for 2 months. I was going to do it for 30 days. And now,
really?
And now I'm like 90 days minimum. And after 90, I might explore more keto options, but I'm really enjoying carnivore. I feel really good.
Really? So mentally you feel better than you did before?
I've been up since 5 this morning, and as we record this, it's like 9 something, and I feel energized. I feel very, very good. And before, I'd be hazy. I'd probably be hungry. I'd be like, I'm ready for bed. My energy has skyrocketed, and I was already energetic.
Yeah. Wow.
It's been great.
What exactly does that mean by you wanted the upper edge? So like you were hearing stories about like the carnivore diet and stuff like that, and
so my friend Dustin did it several years ago, but then he stopped doing it. He did it for a month, and I would just see him eating sausages in the back. I'd see him eating steaks, all these amazing things that we're told not to eat. And he's like, no, man, this is amazing. You got to try it. And I'm like, dude, I don't know if I could do that. I don't know how to cook. Like, I literally didn't know how to cook before carnivore. I wouldn't be able to cook a steak.
Really?
I literally learned everything in the last 2 months.
Okay.
And I was like, no, man, I kept making excuses. And then as of about 3 or 4 months ago, Ben Wilcox, who's been on Garage Boozing, he's probably going to come on Choo soon.
Yep. Shout out, Ben.
He started doing it himself. And Ben talks about this himself. I won't give the whole story away because he'll tell it himself, but he dealt with depression for years and years and years. Sometimes bad depression, sometimes minor, but regardless, he was depressed. And he says that after 90 days on carnivore, he has 0 depression. But I started seeing Ben have these fantastic results. One of the biggest things I saw about Ben was his mood changed. And I've always gotten along with Ben. We all have our moments, right? But Ben, all of a sudden, his vibration changed. Like when he entered the room, he looked different because he lost a ton of weight too. But just his overall vibe changed. And I was like, dude, this is crazy. And when I saw his vibration change, that's when I said, this is something that I really want to try. And it was easy because Ben was doing it, so I could ask him all my questions. And then he pointed me in the direction of all these YouTube experts and these doctors out there who specialize in carnivore. And I went down the rabbit hole, and I started December 24th. I had one last big meal of cinnamon buns at my mother-in-law's house.
Got ready. You're like, here we go.
And this breakfast bake. And then that night, I started carnivore. And I haven't gone off of it.
That's funny because I was going to ask you if you did like research or just like dived into it. So you went through the rabbit hole, and you're like did a bunch of research, and then you're like, all right, here come the cinnamon buns, and we're gonna start.
I knew, but I wanted that cinnamon bun meal first. It was planned.
So you already felt better before versus like as we were saying before, negativity brand and change your lifestyle around. But now you feel even better than...
Even better.
Really?
100,000%. The thing about me and food, and this is another reason why I did it, is I was always a fat kid growing up. Until about my junior year of high school, I finally lost weight because I did whatever I could to lose weight. I wouldn't eat as much. I would go on bike rides, all these things. I've always had a really tough relationship with food. And it's continued. Like, even after I lost all that weight, I would put 10 pounds on, lose 10 pounds, and I would always look at the scale, and I always saw myself differently than how other people saw me.
Sure.
It was like a mental thing.
I think that happens to a lot of people.
I know it does. A lot of people talk about it. And this was a way for me to eat the way that human beings have always eaten. And I was like, if all these people, if all these doctors are saying all these amazing things about it, people who've gotten blood work done, who've shown the amazing results, it's my duty, like as the host of the Be Better podcast or broadcast, it's my duty to try new things. Like when I talked about microdosing magic mushrooms, I wanted to try it so I could talk about it, and that's one of the best performing episodes on the channel.
Sure.
So I've started making videos about carnivore to educate people who've never heard of it. And a lot of people who do carnivore are people with autoimmune diseases. They're people with like Crohn's and people with IBS. Because there's people like Jordan Peterson, a lot of people listening might know who that is, and his daughter Michaela, who have all these diseases and autoimmune disorders. They never knew what was causing them. They felt bad every single day to the point where they didn't want to leave the house because they felt so bad. And they started carnivore. They started keto and they felt better. But then they went to carnivore and all of their problems disappeared. So how is it by eliminating carbs and sugar, all of these health problems disappear? There's got to be something there.
Totally.
So I tried it. And I don't have any autoimmune diseases, right? No reason to be so strict carnivore, but it's easy for me, and I'm really, really enjoying it. The first few weeks are hard.
Oh, sure. Just like keto, the first few weeks are hard.
Because the keto flu, right?
Yeah.
Because you're eliminating sugar. Like literally, it's like smoking a pack a day or 2 packs a day and then stopping immediately. It's the same kind of sensation of your body thinks it's starving. Without carbs, like normal people with a normal Western diet, they're burning carbs for energy. And when you get rid of carbs, what is your body burning for energy? It goes to fat, right? So on keto, you're burning fat for energy. So you need fatty foods, fatty meats, nuts, all those things on keto at least.
So you're probably in ketosis then, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
It's a ketogenic diet.
Right,
it's just an extreme keto diet.
If you could give me like one key takeaway from the carnivore diet, like the biggest thing it's done for you, number one thing.
I think one of the biggest things is, one, I feel much better in my body. I feel much better. Like, I feel that I look at myself now, and it sounds weird, but I look at myself naked, and I'm like, I like what I see.
You're like,
you know what I mean? Like,
damn.
I look at myself, and I'm like, wow, this is what my body is meant to look like. Because a lot of people say, wow, Brandon, you're thinning out. Every time I see my mom, she's like, you're losing so much weight. I wish I could lose that much weight. And she did carnivore for a month. My mom did,
good for
and
her.
my dad. My dad did it for a month too. My mom was more strict with it. My dad was still drinking things and all that stuff. But she lost 15 pounds in a month, but she's like, I miss my foods. And she went
Sure.
back, and it is what it is, right? You can't expect her to be on it for life. But I think the biggest thing is feeling better in my body. But also, I was always hungry, like I said. And it's so strange, man. Like, my hunger signals have completely changed. I was telling Bree this last night, and she's like rolling her eyes as I'm telling her. But I'm like, Bree, I literally am eating less than I've ever eaten before. Like, I used to eat big plates of pasta, a pint of ice cream, Giovanni's, calzones, pizzas, all these things. Pizza, ice cream, and pasta were my
I
things.
love pizza.
And I would eat a lot, dude. And I'd eat Chinese, and I'd be hungry after. With this, I'll eat 1 pound of steak at night, and I'm not hungry for the rest of the night. And I'm not hungry until noon the next day. Hunger, you start to realize when you're actually hungry, and it's such a liberating and freeing thing. It's a beautiful thing.
That's crazy. So, do you have cheat meals when you're on the diet? Or no?
I'm
No.
not.
So you've literally gone straight like.
The only things that I've eaten that aren't strict carnivore is those keto desserts. Like when you came to my birthday party, which is, it sounds like I'm like 7 years old.
Yeah, right.
When you came to my party, we had the cupcakes, right?
Yep.
The keto cupcakes, and they're sugar-free, gluten-free. Those are the only things I've eaten. Those aren't strict carnivore because I'm sure there's some carbs in there.
So this past weekend was the first time that like.
And literally the night before to test the cupcakes to make sure they were
Wow,
actually
good for you, man.
Yeah, so, and then I'll tell you, I felt fine after, but after I ate those, I'm like, yeah, my body doesn't like those. I can tell.
Really?
Once you eliminate all these foods from what you're eating, when you finally start to incorporate them back into your diet, you start to realize what foods are actually fucking you up.
Yeah.
Like if I had a big plate of pasta, it would probably fuck me up, but my body was just used to it before. But now I would feel those effects.
That's incredible. So how long do you like foresee yourself following this lifestyle? I know you said like after the 90 days you might turn more towards keto and like invite vegetables and stuff like that. But
I don't miss vegetables though.
Sure.
You know, I don't miss, the only foods I miss are pasta. You know, the only thing I could ever see myself going away from this is if I took like a week vacation to like Italy.
Yep,
I would feel like I was committing a crime if I only ate meat in Italy, but who knows? Maybe I would, but I'd probably have to eat some of the foods there. But then I would feel like shit the rest of the vacation.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know how to answer that question. It was 90 days, but now I'm already 2 months in. So it's hard for me to say after this next month I'm going to start eating. The only thing I might start to include again are like berries and some fruits.
Sure.
Those are like the one, because I really do enjoy fruit and berries.
So it's probably a lot easier for you now. Like we said in the beginning, it's wicked hard. Like the first like week or two or whatever is super hard. But now like you can turn down food and be like, nah, easy, right?
No problem.
That's exactly how I was on keto. At the beginning, I was just like, oh, this is so tough. And then once I got to the point, I'm just like, nah, don't want it, not interested.
Yeah.
Someone's at work's like, hey, we're ordering this. You want anything? I'd look at the menu. If there's nothing like keto or nothing that fits my diet, I'm like, nah. Isn't it wild?
Same thing, like Brie will bring home Giovanni's and pizza and ice cream and something like, listen, it looks good. It smells good. If something looks good, you can say it looks good without wanting it, right?
Sure.
But I don't have that, like, my stomach doesn't start to rumble.
Yeah.
I don't salivate about it. Like, it's your body chemistry completely changes when you're eating the proper human diet, which is
absolutely.
carnivore.
That's good for you, man.
Thank you, man.
Love it. You've done a lot of things in your life too, like different lifestyle changes and stuff like that. It's very cool to watch.
I like trying different things.
You're right.
And this is a new thing. A lot of, like, listen, if everyone was on carnivore, there wouldn't be enough meat for everybody. This isn't for everybody, right? This is for those people who don't feel the best physically. This is for those people who might have autoimmune diseases. Or it's for the people who are like, I want to try something new, and I can see myself doing this. If that's you, can I mention a couple people to go follow? So if you're listening to this and you're like, this sounds really good, go follow Dr. Ken Berry on YouTube, Dr. Anthony Chafee on YouTube, and there's one other YouTuber. A lot of the girls like her. Her name is Steak and Butter Gal.
Steak and Butter Gal.
She literally, small Asian girl, she literally eats meat all day, every day, and she literally eats, that's like her thing, she eats like sticks of butter raw. Which, by the way, is really good. I'm not really doing that.
Oh, I love it.
Good.
I'll literally take a stick of butter and eat it.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's gross until you do it. And when you're on carnivore, you taste those things differently because your body knows that it wants them.
Right.
But she'll literally just do that. That's all her Instagram is. But go look up those people and don't take it from me. Take it from actual doctors who know their shit and see what they have to say about it. And then, you know, the biggest thing, it's not going to kill you. It's not going to hurt you. Try it. Give it a shot. Do it for a week or two. See the results. And if you want to keep going, keep going.
Hell yeah. And you know what's crazy with the food thing is like all the foods that taste the absolute best are the worst for you.
Yeah.
It's wild, man.
I got to say, though, dude, steak.
Oh, I love
and
steak.
Bacon.
Yep. Sure, steak and bacon
They
taste
never
amazing.
get old. They never get old.
Right, but like
For me.
steak and bacon versus like I don't know, like a
Pasta,
cupcake,
seafood.
spaghetti and meatballs, lasagna.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Dude, it's crazy because all that shit's just so bad for you. But like,
Yeah.
it's the American way, man.
And, you know, listen, man, all things in moderation, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you get, like, a big meal from Olive Garden or something like that, cut it in half, put the rest in the fridge for later. Like, you can eat
The
those
tour of
things.
Italy.
Like, dude, how many people do we know that are fit as fuck and they eat like shit like that?
Yeah.
But they work out like crazy. They do other things. So there's other ways to live, but I found this to be easy for me.
Awesome. Absolutely love it. Can't wait to see the end result.
Thank you,
man. You're welcome. One thing I want to throw in here real quick, which I just had on my list, is AI.
Yeah.
So crazy really has nothing to do with what we were just talking about, but I did put it on my list because I wanted to see what you thought about it. I saw this thing on Facebook, which is like a video of AI a year ago versus AI today. Dude, the change it's made in 1 year is absolutely nuts.
What'd you see?
So it was a video of Will Smith. Someone was like doing a Will Smith like AI video, and like it was all like disfigured and stuff. Like you could tell it was Will Smith, but it wasn't perfect. Like his face was blotchy and stuff. Versus like the same person making that AI video like today, and it looked like Will Smith talking, which is, I mean, I can see where it's true because AI is still very new. Like this is a very new thing, at least to the general public, because I'm sure like the government's had it forever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's wild, just like in the past year, how much we've seen that like you can do with AI. Like for example, my Snapchat, I have an AI guy on my Snapchat. You can get AI to like write book reports, paragraphs. All my podcast editing clips are done via AI.
Yeah.
I upload the whole video and it spits out the captions, edits it for me, does the zoom ins, the clips, everything.
Yeah.
It's crazy that technology exists, but I think it's only going to get crazier, man.
It's going to.
Now, do you use AI ever?
Yeah, I use ChatGPT for a lot of podcast stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, and then like I'll take what it gives me and then I'll make it my own. But like you said, dude, I saw a video literally yesterday where it was on a different podcast I was watching and they showed it where someone typed in a prompt and it made a video from the prompt. And they typed in like, you know, taking a leisurely walk through the Tokyo market. and it literally created like a movie. It was like you're watching a movie of these people, and obviously if you really look at the people, you can tell it's not real, but people walking through the Tokyo market. Eventually AI is going to be creating movies. It's going to be creating music. It already is, but it's It's going to be creating music that you want to listen to, and you're like, wow. You know how we always say, how could someone have created this music? Like when I listen to Pink Floyd, well, eventually it's literally going to be no one created this. This was literally a conglomeration of all intelligence.
You're going to go to a concert and it's going to be a screen.
Yeah. Yep. Or it's going to be like a show of people dancing and a light show and stuff like that, but all the music is generated. And eventually it'll be robots dancing.
Dude, it's kind of scary. And like, so one of these other videos I saw, actually, I think it was the same video, like at the end, it was explaining how like computers, for example, computers just give you responses based on like what you put in, right? Like they do what you tell them to do based on your command, what you're typing into that keyboard. But AI is built to have a mind of its own. Yeah. Scary, dude. Fucking scary.
It's just going to keep growing, whether we like it or not, whether we think it's scary or not. Did you see the recent leaks of, not really leaks, but the creations that AI made of like Taylor Swift? Did you hear about that? So this company or these people created all these deep fake Taylor Swift AI photos. And, you know, people have been doing that for years. You could look up deep fakes. But apparently these ones were so spot on and real that Taylor Swift actually took legal action against the creators of these deepfakes. And they were everywhere on Twitter.
Oh,
right?
shit.
So you could probably still find them. But
X.
Twitter, yeah, sure. X. Elon Musk actually, and X, they did whatever they could to remove anything. So it might be hard to find them now. But they were so fucking real. They were so real. So what that's being used for now is there's a lot of kids in school who are having deep fakes made of them from AI. All these high school kids just doing this to bully people or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So it's not regulated at all. Like anyone can do whatever they want with it. Eventually it's going to be regulated, but who's going to regulate it? Is the government going to regulate this? What will it look like then? Right? So I don't know if scary is the word I would use. I would use the word just completely unknown, which can be scary because we don't know. Like in 3 years from now, we're going to have full-blown movies. We're going to have full-blown video games that are all AI created and generated.
It's so wild. And like, I feel, so you're a father, and like I'll be a father one day, hopefully. It kind of makes me nervous. Like, what are my kids gonna grow up like with this technology? What's this technology gonna do? Are they gonna have like a pet robot, like stuff like that?
It's exciting though, man.
It is exciting, but at the same time, it's scary because you ever seen iRobot with Will Smith?
No, but I've heard things about it.
You've never seen iRobot?
No.
What?
Is it good?
It'll make you not want AI for the rest of your life.
Wow.
I don't want to ruin it for you, but basically
don't ruin the plot.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to ruin the like,
ending.
Yeah,
okay.
I won't ruin the ending. But basically, the movie's about like these super smart robots that were built by humans eventually getting way too smart and taking over the world. Essentially.
Oh wow!
I can't believe you've never seen iRobot.
No, I'll watch it.
You should.
I'm not a big movie guy. Yep, not a big movie guy.
That's crazy.
I was a big gamer, but not a movie guy. Sure, but I will watch it just because you recommend.
You definitely should. And I think
I've heard of it.
Anybody listening to this, especially after this conversation, if you think Brandon should watch iRobot, comment below.
You want to know one of the biggest concerns right now of a lot of people? Sex robots. Huge concern.
Now, why is that a concern? It sounds kind of cool.
Huge concern. I told my dad about this, and he's like, I can't wait for those.
Give me one of them. Hey, robot, give me a beer.
And you can go find them right now. You can literally go buy one. They're like $8,000 for a great one. I know. I got a couple of them myself. But eventually, these things are going to be so real that they're going to have emotional attachments as much as you want it to have. And why would you want a human companion when you could have a robot companion that does more, is better for you? The big problem with this is we're not going to have kids anymore if we're only fucking robots. Yo. So what happens when we as humans don't have children? And ask Ben about this because he'll go into the conspiracy land, which is amazing. But what if this is a plan to cause the extinction of the human race? There's a lot of high-level people out there. Bill Gates, who talks about getting rid of a lot of the population. George Soros, he's an extinctionist, right? Elon Musk always talks about these kind of people, and he's like, I'm pro-human. Like, I'm pro-human race. A lot of people aren't. But what if this is a plan to eliminate the human race? Bringing AI and sex robots to the point where you never want to leave home. You have everything you need at home, but then you're the last generation. That could be this next generation where this happens.
Yeah.
Think about that. Wow. And my son's going to see that, right? All the kids now are going to see that. They're in for quite the fucking ride. Think about what we've had.
That's what I was just going to say. Think about what we've seen in our lives, from dial-up computers and shit to like now like super fast like internet and stuff, like just everything, cell phones, stuff like that. All the technology that your son's going to see in his life, holy shit.
It's nuts, dude.
Or like the technology that like my grandparents have seen, like, dude, black and white TVs, the landline, like they used to have party lines, shit like that. Like, oh my God, the commercial airplane, like, oh my gosh. My grandparents have never been on an airplane. Wow. Never. They would, like, anytime they ever went to Florida, when they had a house in Florida, they took the Amtrak train. 3 days to get down. Like, they preferred that over flying. And it's just like, I love flying. Like, I'd much rather just be there in 2 hours.
Much
like,
more convenient.
Way more.
100%.
Insane. Yeah, technology, AI, all that stuff. But
we're in for a ride, man.
We are in for a ride.
Yeah, and it's exciting at the same time, but it's who knows where it's going to go. Hope we just need great leaders to lead us in the right direction.
Absolutely.
But I also believe, again, going back to what we talked about at the very beginning, if you focus on what you can control, taking care of you, taking care of the ones you love, then you can make a difference in this too, to lead it in the direction that is best for you and for the race.
Absolutely. So one last thing I want to bring up here. You kind of brought it up before, New Year's resolutions.
Yeah.
And then we kind of dived a different way. I know this is something you wanted to talk about, so I'm actually going to throw it exactly to you. Why did you want to bring up New Year's resolutions?
I think we covered a lot of it in the sense that you can't just, you said it, right? A goal without a plan is simply a dream.
Yep.
Right? Which is exactly that. And the reason I wanted to bring it up is because it's February 22nd when we're filming this, and most people give up on their New Year's resolutions by the second week of February.
Sure.
And it might even be earlier. It's like 90-something%. So my invitation for everyone listening is go grab a free copy of my book, right? And I didn't plan to say that. But
no, sell it, bud. Go.
Go grab a free copy, bebenderindustries.com/book, get the audiobook, whatever you want to do, and find that one chapter, that one area of your life that you want to improve in, and don't give up on that resolution. Rather than give up on the resolution, grab a notebook and create a step-by-step plan of where you are now, step 1, and step 10, maybe step 15 will be where you want to be. And then fill in those blanks. Just fill it in with bullshit. Even if you have no clue what you're going to do, let's say your goal is to weigh 170 pounds and right now you're 210, right? Where are you now? 210. Where do you want to be? 170. What are you going to do? What are the 8 steps in between 1 and 9 that you're going to do? Step 2, get the gym membership. Maybe walk into the gym. Step 3, make a regiment to work out 3 days a week. Just fill it out with things that you might never even do. But once you have a plan, you awaken a part of your brain. There's literally a part of our brain called the reticular activating system. It's called the RAS, and it's literally the part of your brain that helps you to pay attention to what's important. So if you create a plan, the whole science behind this is once you create that plan, you'll find people, opportunities, and things in your environment that will help you to reach that goal. It's your subconscious that will come into action to help you reach it. But a lot of people don't employ their subconscious because they create a goal, but they don't create a plan. So the only thing we haven't mentioned is write down those steps, create the plan for what you want, right? 10 years is going to pass. 1 year is going to pass. Don't be 1 year in the future, 5 years, 10 years in the future, having done nothing. Start taking actions, even imperfect action, even the actions you don't think are going to do anything, and just watch how your life transforms before your eyes.
Boom. I love that. So now this is a question that I'm pretty much going to throw in at every episode now because I love hearing what people say. What goals do you have for 2024? So what I mean by this is if you see yourself a year from today and you're in the exact same spot, is that where you want to be? Are you going to be happy with that? Are you going to be satisfied? Or what do you want?
My goals for 2024, I think one of the biggest goals was my health goal, and I'm currently doing that.
Crushing
that.
So
I feel really good about that. And again, who knows how it could transform. But one of my other big goals is I want to continue growing the podcast. And to answer your question, if I looked a year ahead, if anyone looks a year ahead and you're in the same place, you got to create that plan like we just talked about. You shouldn't be in the same place, right? And even if you go backwards 1 year, it's okay, right? You can still make up that ground, and by going backwards, you might have learned something that can help you go forwards. But one of my ultimate goals is I want to grow the show to the point where I'm able to fly people out. I'm able to bring great people, guests for the show, to dinner, take them on a hike, record an awesome podcast together, collaborate in different ways. Like, I want to do more with the show and bring in some high level guests. Not that my guests aren't amazing, but I want to fly out some amazing people. So I want to have a nice in-person set like what you have, and I just want to do more with the show. And I want to start hosting retreats and events. Specifically, my goal is I want to take leaders of companies and business owners, solopreneurs, and I want to bring them to like tropical resorts and do like a 5 to 7 day retreat at these resorts where we create a plan, right? We look at each area of their life. Where are you now? Where do you want to be? We create a plan. We start taking action while they're at the retreat. So they're learning, they're taking action, and they get a tropical vacation out of it as well. So I'm looking into places like Bali. I'm looking into places like Punta Cana because I've been to those resorts several times.
Yep.
So I want to do really cool things like that. That's like one of my ultimate goals. And next month, I'm going to do a seminar that teaches you how to run really cool retreats.
Really?
So that's going to be like one of my first steps in that direction.
So back to when we were talking about like the Be Better Industries thing and how that became before like the podcast and stuff, and like you've done in person like motivational speaking stuff like that, or like trainings and stuff like that. Are you still doing that? Do you want to do more of that?
Yeah. No, I love it. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I want to do the retreats, because I love speaking to groups of people. That's how I really got into this business in the first place, because I love to speak. I like to hear myself talk. I was that kid in class.
Who doesn't?
I was that kid in class who got the report card, and literally it had a note at the bottom saying, Brandon will not shut up, right? They wrote it nicer.
Talks too much in class. Yeah.
But now I get paid to talk, and so do you, which is
Right.
the funny part. So it's funny how those things lead to this. But yes, I want to do more. I will do more. And COVID changed the speaking industry a bit. There's a lot of big key players out there who still like Gary Vaynerchuk.
Of course. I love Gary V.
He gets paid hundreds of thousands of dollars per speech that he gives. But then I realized before you can give those big speeches, those big presentations, you need to build a brand.
Okay.
And I believe everyone listening needs to build a brand. You're building an amazing brand. You already are. You built a brand. You're continuing to build it. I'm building it. But once you have an audience of people who actually want to hear what you have to say, then you can host the giant events. So giant events and conferences, like when I went to that Tony Robbins event, well, I'll use a better example. When me, Sean Miller, James Rich, we all went down to Florida for the Grant Cardone conference. There's over 30,000 people in that arena. 30,000 people. The energy was amazing. It was unlike anything I've ever experienced. And I want to do things like that. But first, I want to do the retreats. And that is a form of speaking. It's just less people, obviously,
Sure.
but in a cool way, because you're in the tropics and all that fun
Right.
stuff. And I can bring other people, too. I don't want to be the guy who's doing all the speaking. Hey, this is how you can live a better life. I'd rather bring in the people who are experts in each of the individual areas. And I can be the guy with my superpower of organizing everything and planning everything. Like, I'm really good at organizing and planning. I'm not necessarily the guy, I'm not the Tony Robbins who can say, this is how to get your money right. This is how to get your health right. Like, I know some things, but I like to bring other people in to go into things better than I can. So yes, it is a goal of mine, and I love to do it.
Fucking love it.
Thanks for asking me.
No, that was a hell of an answer. But all right, folks, that's all the time we have here today. Brandon, thank you so much for joining me here. Yeah, I went for
Thanks
the
for
fist bump. He
bringing
went
me
for the
on,
handshake. I love that shit.
I love you guys too. Thanks for watching and listening.
Yes, all his links below. Everything we talked about,
My
book,
OnlyFans is down
socials, his OnlyFans, all that stuff. Link below. Obviously, like Brandon was a big guest on the Garage Boozing podcast, was here very often, and he will definitely be here a lot here for Choo Choo. But dude, thank you so much. And
it was awesome, man. Thank you.
Yeah, we crushed it. And I'll see you nerds next week.
See you, nerds.